the advantages that people in faraway places can join each other at real time. Actually, it was Kovács Erzsébet who gave the title. Every responsibility goes to her. So what is my answer to Peter Bodó's question? So this is not the 50th year, but it is 50 years. And I'm going to talk about this 50 years. So there is a disclaimer first. This is a mosaic in which a lot of pieces are missing. The cooperative company had a series. The active representative of it is Peter Bodó, for example. I couldn't find a slide of Árpád Dávid, for example, unfortunately, but so let's see what I have found. The first slide is of András Román. Let's see his nice face. He is with us, even if just in this way. And we are in Nosvaj. No matter that the Summer University course is named Eger Summer University. I won't have too many slides with written words there. I have photos, but it is just about the beginnings. So how did it all start? Bodó Péter said a few words about that. So it started at the beginning of the 1970s. This is the year when the Amsterdam Declaration came out. And also in Hungary something started. The National Historical Protection Office moved to a wonderful building, and then they found this organization, the Tit-Bugát Association in Eger. But why did be Eger? Why did they find Eger? So they have a good wine in Szekszárd and they have good wine in Eger as well, but historically Eger is more important in the country. There are very old phrases here like the town council and the county council. That was the time when everything was owned by the state. There was only one party in the country. So these are old-fashioned phrases. But I don't have any nostalgia for past things. But one of the good things of the time was that this sort of training process started. There were some personal contacts there. So Pál Havasi must have had some connections to Eger. Now we are in Nosvaj, and next to Nosvaj there was a new building built, and it was him who was the architect of that new building. So probably there were good party connections as well, but Eger is a significantly historical town in Hungary. Probably you can read about this in Román András's work as well. A rehabilitation program started in Eger at the same time. And the rehabilitation was done by the blocks, not by the houses, by the individual houses. At that time, ICOMOS didn't play really important role in this, because the National Historical Monument Protection Office, or authority, Derzsényi was the president of the National Committee, and either Mihály Zádor or András Román was the General Secretary of Hungarian ICOMOS. It was a civil organization, but the members were denominated by a state organization. You will see the slides, and I'm not going to talk much about these slides, but about the seriousness of the thing. I say that in 1971, László Gergely professor, as the editor, wrote a short article about the summer university course. And among them, among the lecturers, there was Mihály Décsi as well, for example. Why I put these slides here is, well, actually they don't tell you much, but you see the barcodes. If you want to do some research about this, you can do it in the Roman András archives. It was not a straight way, anyway. It is similar to some sort of evolution process. Gradually, it opened up. Sometimes I will get back to some past points as well, how the places, the venues changed. So we are not supposed to think that it was an unchanged process. There was only one thing which didn't change, the main target of the Sorbonne University. So it was a forum for professionals, and our aim was so that we could help the participants with their learning about historical monument protection. This is a local daily paper from the time, from Heves County. Maybe you know Tibor Koppány. In this picture on the right, you can see that an Italian participant, a student, that takes over his diploma. But it was important because it was important for the journalists as well, and they came and they wrote reports about the event, because that was a very important thing in the life of the town and of the county. 1970 was a very important year. You can see that István Dillinger was the director of the Monument Protection Authority, and why it was important, I'm going to point out. There is a special participant. This is someone, this is Tamás Fejérdi, that is me, who takes part in the Sorbonne University in his life for the first time. That was 1971. Well, actually, I didn't take part in all of them, but I took part in most of the summer university courses. So András Román had a very, very important role in it, but I would like to show you a few faces from the time, from the past. Ferenc Mendele, for example, who followed István Dillinger in his position. But he had also taken part around in the summer university course as an organizer. In the other photo, you can see colleagues. On the very left, it is Dezső Dercsény. He has never been the head of the authority because he was not on the left enough at that time. And József Gólya, who was the number one professional leader of the organization. Ferenc Dávid was a lecturer who had fantastic lectures at the university many times. I have to admit that I couldn't find out who the man on the right is. Probably a local person from Sopron. Obviously, he's a professional too. And another report from a newspaper. We are talking about professors. We are talking about a summer university. so the newspapers also took it seriously. And this is the photo of which I could tell. I didn't make an inventory of the lecturers or the participants. And Péter Kranicai led the Italian group. And Luca Mari is an Italian colleague who took part many times in the summer university courses. A certain waving also characterized the summer university. As I have already mentioned, during the 50 years, many have taken part in the summer university, lecturers or students. So I took a slogan this is a commercial slogan, that is, on every level, you almost find everything. It means that the participants didn't only come from Hungary, but from the neighboring countries as well. When everything was centralized in András Román's hands, the summer university course was joined to other organizations in other countries, in the neighboring countries. András was very fair with this. He didn't only think of Hungarian professionals, but also foreign professionals, and he wanted to make it a European event. So from everywhere from Europe and from all over the world, we had, from Mexican, I don't know what other countries shall I mention, that is Sri Lanka. So we had lecturers and participants from all continents. As I said, this is a chain of the events. Unfortunately, many of them have already passed away, but I think that the summer university course can become sort of an addiction, and there are people who always come back, and we hope that the newcomers will become also those who come back. Thank you very much for Gábor Kerne for the photos. Well, at that time it was Yugoslavia, where a lot of colleagues came from. He was the leader of a group in that part of Yugoslavia at that time. Professionally, he was accepted very well. In the photo on the right, you can see Lajos Szilvási, who was one or maybe the first secretary of the summer university. We could put Péter Bodos or Árpád David's photo as well, because they were also summer university secretaries. For many of us, Péter's face was the face of the summer university, who is strongly connected to Eger, and for a long time he was a very active secretary of the Summer University on Monument Protection. And at this point, I have to turn back again to why that be Eger, when in 1971 the decision was made to make a summer university course on monument protection. Eger had some sort of experience, because at that time there had already been a summer university course on movies. So they had already been doing it for quite a time. The communities, of course, interested were different, but Eger had an experience of organizing conferences or summer universities of the kind, and that's why we started our work in Eger. So about the contents. Obviously, this is not a complete list. I'm only highlighting the most important things in the past 50 years. In any way, it is something where we join science and practice. I think both are very important, and it is also important what I stated, where in principle, probably there will be made a book or a publication about the past 50 years, and I read about I read some of the past lectures as well, the old lectures as well, and they are very exciting and they are very enjoyable to read. I evaluate it important that there is not a certain linear process in the summer university course, but it's not like we have minor committees as in ICOMOS. Everybody got the program, and you can see that all the previous 49 universities, the topic of these summer university courses. So there are recurring topics, but with a new approach. And it's not without taboos. So the things return and come back cyclically. The third point that I find important is that, I don't know if it is form or contents or both, that at the summer university, this summer university is a professional forum, or at least this is how it started, but it became also a conversation or dialogue between generations, because very often it happens that the lecturers and the participants sometimes are the same, or many times are the same. So we could change, exchange ideas, and that's the forum for basically. And the contents also includes that there is always some sort of professional trip, a study trip that is joined to the summer university. András said, I will never forget that maybe it was not a summer university company, but an ICOMOS company, but they were very sour people on a autumn day, and but the plum palinka that was given to the participants in the morning cheered up the people. But of course, this is not that the study tour is important, or why it is important, but the discussion that we can carry on. So we have also a tradition that Eger is in the name of the summer university, and also it is a traditional saying that we have a half-day study tour to Eger all the time, every year. And as I can see it, as I have experienced it, this is a good title for it. It is old and new. I have never ever been to a boring trip to Eger, because they are always interesting. And there is a one-day study tour as well in the summer university. So I'm amazed at Erzsébet Kovács, who always finds out where to go and what to see, because during the 50 years, we've been to so many different places that sometimes I think it is almost impossible to find a new one. There are occasions where we travel more and we have fewer places to stop, and sometimes we have more places to stop at and we travel less. I'm going to show this in photos as well. I don't have to be so fast with it. Yes. So I'm getting back to the scientific content and to the publications, and so I started with some criticism. The biggest problem is that these publications are only available in Hungarian. There are a few exceptions, but most of it are only published in Hungarian. Just a few are published in English, and this is a problem. It would be very nice to publish it, to make it public in a foreign language as well, in English, so that it could be studied by researchers. For quite a long time, these publications were published, and also the way that the publications of the previous year were given to the students in the following year. The lecturers are infamous for this, that they don't give in their lectures in time. Many times I take these publications again into my hand. Changes in half time. So this is about the story and about the contents together. So how did it all happen? Probably you'll remember that at the very beginning, the National Historical Monument Protection Authority, with 1,200 colleagues of theirs, they were the fathers and the owners of this program. And after them, the institutions that followed, they carried on the tradition. Together with András Roman, we were working on it as well. And the change was, you can see it in the colors, that the Cultural Heritage Office was set up, and the word changed in between 1989 and 1992. Slowly but surely, the whole thing slid to the ICOMOS. And András Roman was the connecting person between the two. He also played a leading role in ICOMOS as the president of the National Committee. And he was also vice president of ICOMOS. We became less and less important for Eger. So the summer university became less and less important for Eger and for the country either. So ICOMOS took over. But also the central state organizations took part in financing the summer university. Maybe I will be talking about this at the end again. The summer university is a sort of an investment. It costs a lot more than it can bring in profits. But it is still worth, as Peter Dobó said, that this investment, the investment profit is the professionals who take part here and then become professors or very serious lecturers. There was an unfortunate change as well. In 2005, András died, and he gave over the position to Erzsébet, and on the right you can see Erzsébet and Vera, Roman András's wife, widow. This diploma that you can see, this is how András Roman This summer university became an András Román Summer University, which happened in 2006. This smiling face remains with us. At the bottom you can see his signature. And here is another nice and smiling face. I'm sorry for the photo, it's not the best one I know, but she also smiles. And you can see that the photo was taken in the András Román archives. So fortunately, the series of the Summer University of Eger continued. Just a few things changed as for the publications, and I think that those who could take part in the Summer University courses, we can say that this is a continuous series. Even if the documentation of a few years are missing, and unfortunately they cannot be made up for. You can see that it is published in 2 languages. Here we have people who translate the things for you, Csaba and Rózsa. Thank you very much for the work that they have done for us in the past years. And of course we have to say thanks to the technical background as well, because otherwise without them this Summer University couldn't have been made. Peter Klanica also did the translation, simultaneous translation for the Italian colleagues. I'm going to show you some photos, of course, about the different study trips, for example, not because this is kind of almost like a family photo, but to show you the atmosphere of the environment that we are in also now. I found the photos in the ICOMOS archives or in my own archives. You can see that in the middle there is a member who is going to be a new member of the Summer University course. We've been to many places. I'm not going to comment these photos. This is a terrible collection that I made. I just want to show you, or wanted to show you, that besides the classroom sessions, the classroom lessons and lectures, through a white table conference, or in the middle you can see the Nosvai Delamot mansion. So we've been to places like to a dripstone cave in Aktelek, for example. So we are dealing with historical monuments, but we also visit places which are part of the natural heritage. It is not accidental that we are at a Summer University on monument protection. So probably my colleagues will know this is a maniac about that we have to make a difference between the two. So if we deal with historical monuments as a heritage, or the other way around, if we deal with heritage elements with historical monuments, then we would make a mistake. So I had to mention this. This is a very bad photograph, but I wanted to show it to you that we also paid attention to the cellars. And this is a visit. This is Judith Botos, who accompanied us. So it belongs to the Eger Summer University, to the visits. that the organizers try to, Peter and Erzsi too, that they find leaders who show us around in the town in Eger, who know the town and who know a lot about it. And this is not tourism visits, not touristic visits, as it can be seen in this photo as well in the Fülek Castle. So our guides were not tour guides, but local professionals of historical monument protection. Probably I think this is Széchenyi. Two small photos here. And I would like to show you Ibolya as well, who previously, in the previous years, who did the lion's share of the organization in the previous years. Yeah, my heart aches now, because this is Péter Szabjár on the left in Terény. When we visited the place, well, he is not among us, unfortunately, anymore. But still we have the continuity of the summer university courses. So it is Terény, Daniel Fáy. He was the mayor of the town. Those who haven't been there, I'm telling you to visit the place and study the place, because this is a settlement, a town which on its own can finance and manage the historical monuments. He was an architect. This holistic way of thinking is characteristic for these places. He knows a lot about the world, but he doesn't copy anything. He thinks and acts together with the community. This Terény is a place where a little old lady made a business of her gems. And back to Eger. Well, the president in the middle is rather plump. I wanted to show you Tina Markusova, who is not just a frequent lecturer of ours, but she also organizes and brings students from Slovakia. And this is the place of promotion here. So bring other students with you when you come next time to the summer university. We have the connection with the Eger people. György Deli, at his own house, he treated us to some wine, but he also talked about the problems of the town as well, because the town always has problems. All problems always, all towns always have problems of their own. This is a selection. On the right, you can see the photos of Hortobágy, because we also visited that place. Every photo has a message, at least for me. Eger cannot ever become boring. I mentioned the Students' Forum. One of the biggest values of the summer university is the Students' Forum, not just this list that you can see here, but many times when I came, I always enjoyed the Students' Forum. Yeah. Between 1976 and 1978, we had amazing lecturers. I cannot list all the names there, and I'm saying that the knowledge that I received at that time, or at least half of it, has always come from the students from the Students' Forum, not just from the professor, from the lecturers. we had to translate the emerging professionals into Hungarian. This is Gerger Nagy. He was a president of ICOMOS as well, Gábor Winkler. Without him, an important element would be missed. Mihály Kubinski was a president of the Summer University as well. He started with antiquity and went through Renaissance and the classicism of dictatorship and then the postmodern. I cannot repeat this now, or this is just something that I wanted to remember about Mihály Kubinski. Yes, we went to different places. This is Tamás Dévényi, who was also the president of the Summer University. Well, for a long time they didn't think, or we didn't think that it was such a valuable place or such a valuable building. I'm not entitled to speak about it. But once again, I have to repeat that theory and practice meets, and when we go on this trip, it's not tourism. And about the venues, just a few words about the venues of the Summer University. This is the Summer University in Eger. We started in Eger, indeed, always in Eger. And our accommodation was in a hostel, in 4-bedded bunk beds rooms, but nobody complained about it. Then a significant change came when that was before 1990. So we came over to the new building built next to the Delamot Kastély in Nosvaj, which used to be a party educational center earlier. So this is a montage of the place. This is a interior of the Delamot mansion. This is a Baroque castle with sarcastic drawings and paintings, and next to the old mansion, this new building was built. It is not interesting for the quality, because it was not that valuable building. We are not very proud of it. The absolutely good thing was that they didn't touch the original mansion, and they left it intact. They didn't destroy any part of it, and we organized programs there. I'm not going to show you photos of this place where we are now. When you walk around, you will see. When the Delamot mansion was seized, I mean, as for a venue of the Summer University, then Erzsé found this Hotel Nomad for us as a proper place for the Summer University. It was a change, a real change, from the point of view of the number of participants. Well, at the beginning we had 100 or 120 participants in the 1970s, significantly because the participants were delegated by their institutions. So we were just told to go there. then the number of students have decreased, unfortunately, to something like 30, 35, and while we are so few now, it has a different reason. I always have a very good time here, but I have a little bit of nostalgia because it was so interesting to go out to the garden, to the park of the Delamot Mansion. I have already mentioned to you that this is a pricey program. To do these 50 years, it supposes a very serious financial support, and sometimes it took a lot to raise those finances. Well, at the beginning, it was not a question because the money was given. The town always gave a reception in the Szépasszony Valley, the Valley of the Beautiful Women, and András Roman also convinced the local archbishop to receive the summer university participants as well. Even in the old times, it worked. When the Cultural Heritage Office was set up, we were the first in Europe. We didn't like it at that time, though, but the archaeological heritage and historical heritage were connected or were put into one on the one roof. The Cultural Heritage Office, as it started, the Summer University in Eger also changed. There is something important. It is personal. When I became the president of the office in 1992, I took strong steps to separate ICOMOS and our office. András was not very happy about that, and partly he was right because there were very painful points in the separation, but I don't mind that it happened because a professional civil organization cannot be connected to one institution so that it could define the operation of it. So the separation happened, and this was one reason why ICOMOS became a pendant thing, and now we operate absolutely separately. But the question marks refer to the past. There were various offices that have taken part in the work, but they disappeared since then. The Lechner Educational Center. I don't want to quote all the abbreviations which are here. And there are some regional architectural and heritage offices as well. Why am I talking about this long? Because it evaluates the significance of the Summer University. The workshop, which worked in the old times, that the different disciplines, the people in the different disciplines worked together, used to work together. Well, looking back, of course, it looks a lot nicer. Only the architect was considered a professional, but the professionals were also, they had some rather bad opinion about the architects. So as for who were our supporters, I would like you to accept that I'm not saying this from the awareness of responsibility, that we receive, the András Román Szilágyi University has been receiving for years financial support from the authorities. ICOMOS couldn't finance this on his own. But we have other supporters, for example, ICOMOS and the organization and how it is carried out and realized. It doesn't mean any extra payment for the organizers. So thank you very much to Erzsika and her colleagues, to ICOMOS National Committee. It is a very serious support that we receive. There were 3 important professional programs which started before 1970. The National Historical Offices organized a biennale, and the sole organizer of the program was the Historical Monument Office at that time. This Eger-Szomoly University, as we know, as I have already told you, was officially started by the state organizations then, but ICOMOS joined in. And since 1983, there is another program, that is the Historical Monument Day. It is the program of ICOMOS. It was an ICOMOS initiative. UNESCO accepted it, and we have it every year. And the support comes from the ministry. The financial support comes from the ministry. And here we are with the Summer University, which is completely supported by ICOMOS. And the other supporter is the Tit-Bogat-Pál Association for the Dissemination of Sciences. So this is the place this is the time when we have to say again thank you to Péter Bodó and to his predecessors, but he's been doing it for so long that we cannot even remember who did the job before him. And we also have supporters like Vera Szekeres-Valsa, András's Román wife. She doesn't like if we call him a widow. So she also gives donations to the and president. Let's say welcome to the president. I'm going to finish it. So thank you for Vera for the donations, for the personal donations to help young students, participants. She is an active member of ICOMOS National Committee. She doesn't only support the memory of András Román, but she is very much devoted and very serious that she wants the next generations, the coming generations, to take part in it. So we are thinking about the future. I found this in a newspaper just by accident. (2018) Egri Hírek, Eger News. So the title is, the main title of the Summer University is Past and Future. Now we are in the present. It's not like the past and not like the future. So just something about the future, not much about it, but I would like to show you another photo at the end. And this is Tina Markusova. So, where is the future? Forward. We are in the Basilica, in the castle of Eger, and thank you very much for Tina for sending me this photo. So this photo says that we have to continue, to continue the series of the Eger Summer University. So it might be important information. So indeed, the Summer University was missed last year, but there was an interesting replacement which you can see on the homepage of ICOMOS. I liked it a lot. There are short comments that you can find there. So this is what we were speaking about the 50 years. What comes next? Thank you very much for your attention.